Let's get into it. Episode 677, Soul Not For Sale podcast. We got some important news. I need you guys to be very aware of these people. I need you to be very diligent. You have to watch your back because Trump supporters highly likely to try and kill people in 2024. You don't have much time. It is almost 2024. Okay? Board your doors up. Get extra locks. Get a bomb shelter. Okay? Get a panic room. Because these Trump supporters, they're coming after you. Okay? All right? Let's not beat around the bush here. Okay? Those Trump supporters are going to come for you. All that freedom and liberty and making America great, you know what that's code for. It's code for kicking in people's doors, right? They're going to come. That's what's going to happen. Of course, if I was a part of MSNBC, that would be real. I would be really saying that to you. But of course, this is just a ridiculous news story that is almost laughable. Almost laughable. But here's the reason why it's not laughable. Because they are so othering people who support Trump that they went from giving them the labeling, the branding of racist, transphobic, xenophobic, misogynistic, toxic males, gun nuts, everything you could think of. And now they're just going straight to killers. They're just like, listen. Trump is so far ahead in the polls. People are jumping over to the Trump boat so quickly that they're just like, we have to make them into the worst thing possible. There's too many blacks who are for Trump. There's too many Jewish people who are for Trump. We got to what's something that everybody wants to stay away from? Killers. Let's just make them into killers. That's what they're trying to do. But it's not baseless. They have an expert. This gentleman's an expert. And listen, he's done his research. Now, I want you to guess out loud. Do you think it was 15 years of research, 20 years of research, or 30 years of research that he did in order to come to this conclusion? If you said 4 tweets and a clip of a video, you'd be right. If it wasn't one of the options, I faked you out. You went with one of those 3. I faked you out. It was just a few tweets that he went with. Let's hear what he has to say, though. His name is Brian Klaas with a K, 2 A's, 1 S. Let's get into it.
The amount of threats that we've seen from Donald Trump this past week are like breathtaking, even for him. From the threat to General Milley, now the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to threats against American media with a specific social media post focused on the owner of this network, Comcast, and then his continual threats against the prosecutors and judges in the various cases against him in the 4 jurisdictions where his 91 counts sit. Brian, let me start with you. Talk about this moment we're in with the leading candidate for the Republican nomination making really incredible anti-small d Democratic threats.
Of course. I just want to say, I always love how they gather up these people. It's always a lady with hair like this. It's always a rather effeminate, yet firm looking gentleman. And then always the clean cut black gentleman. I have one of those on my show myself. They work out great. And then, of course, someone who you think could be one of those terrible Trump supporters, but he's not. He's not. He's an expert, and he's here with information that's going to help you in 2024, help you not get killed. You understand? They come together like the Avengers. It's always fun to see. They're like the X-Men. Like, this guy's going to take off his glasses. He turns into the Beast, like blue scientist type. This guy controls the weather. This lady is Rogue, and he's Cyclops. He's Cyclops when he gets mad. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. Let's get into it.
Well, it's the biggest story of the 2024 election, but it's not being treated as that in the press. And I think that's a real failing, because it has become the banality of crazy incitement to violence, the sort of normalcy and routine of Trump saying things that could get people killed. And you have him, suggesting that you could execute America's top general. On Friday night, he joked about Paul Pelosi being attacked, and the crowd laughed when he was referencing, sort of an 82-year-old man being hit over the head with a hammer. He called to execute people who shoplift from stores, a very minor crime, I mean, one to take seriously, but obviously not one worthy of execution. And also he has, demonized a variety of people in his various outlets on Truth Social and in his discussions in front of crowds. And this is related to a term called stochastic terrorism. It's an academic jargon term, but what it basically means is that when someone who's very powerful and influential targets or demonizes individual groups in the public, at least a small number of their followers will take them as marching orders. And what is highly likely going into the 2024 election is that a small subset of Trump's very well-armed and extremist base will try to kill people. And you have to remember that Cesar Sayoc, this extremist in 2018 who sent pipe bombs to people that Trump targeted on Twitter, the only reason that people didn't die was because Cesar Sayoc was bad at building bombs. It wasn't because the rhetoric was unimportant. So we're sort of gambling a lot of people's lives and our democracy on the idea that this rhetoric doesn't translate into real world violence. And that is a very, very bad bet for America to make.
Very, very bad bet. Okay. He's going to say some things. People are going to act. And just in case you didn't know what he's talking about when he says he threatened a general and he actually called for his death, because that's what they were saying. MSNBC, 60 Minutes, they were saying he's calling for the execution of somebody. This is what he said. He said, this guy turned out to be a woke train wreck who, if false news reported correctly, was actually dealing with China to give them a heads up on the thinking of the President of the United States. This act is so egregious that in times gone by, the punishment would be death. That's it. He's saying back in the day, they would have dealt with this guy. They would have called out treason as they see it, and they would have dealt with him. Not really a call for this gentleman here, this general, to be executed. That's not what he's calling for. And then with the Paul Pelosi thing, where he's making jokes about Paul Pelosi, I want you to hear this ravenous, savage joke that Trump makes.
And we'll stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi, who ruined San Francisco. How's her husband doing, by the way? Anybody know?
That's it. That was it. That was it. Nope. Usually it's a little longer, right? It's like a full joke. Yeah, that was it. He made a joke and everybody knew it was a joke and they all laughed. And that's not allowed. It's not allowed in the left. Laughter's not allowed in the left 1984 spectrum of things. Now, I want to go back to what he said about stochastic terrorism, did he call it?
Crowds. And this is related to a term called stochastic terrorism.
Stochastic terrorism. Let's go to that. Check that out. That's a real thing. I want you guys to see what this actually means. He explained it a little bit, but let's go. It refers to political or media figures publicly demonizing a person or group in such a way that inspires supporters of the figures to commit acts of violence to the target of the speech, unlike incitement to terrorism. This is accomplished by using indirect, vague, or coded language that allows the instigator to plausibly disclaim responsibility for the resulting violence. Now, that sounds really, really familiar. It sounds oddly familiar to me. You know why? Because it kind of, slightly seems like this. This is kind of what it seems like. It seems like that's what they were doing when they made this and so many other things that they've said about Trump and that they've said about all of us. All of us have fell under the spectrum of unacceptable in the left's eyes as everything's been going on. And this is just incredible that they decided this. Like there's too many Jewish people for Trump, so you can't go with anti-Semitic. There's too many black people who have jumped on the Trump train, so you can't go with racist anymore. There's too many women and men all mingling together, so you can't go with misogynistic anymore. They're like, what else can we do? What else can we do? Let's just go with killers. Perfect. Done. Finished. This is amazing. So the exact thing that he's saying that Trump is doing, they are doing to him. And it seems like this tends to be the norm. It tends to be the norm with them. They tend to say that someone is doing something, and it tends to be the thing that they're doing themselves. I love that he brought that up. Again, MSNBC, they never fail to show me the light. Just in case you didn't know what MSNBC stood for, it's mainstream news brainwashing citizens, and they never fail. They always execute on that. I've never seen them fail at that. Just so you know, that's at IamCoachColin.com. 10% off. Use the discount code IamCoachColin, all capital letters, all one word, one L in the name Colin. This is going to be a rough year, guys. Okay, I just want you to know that it's going to be rough. I want you to keep your head on a swivel. That's what they want. They want you to keep your head on a swivel because the people who oppose them are killers. How amazing is that they're willing to do that? Imagine being willing to do that to American citizens who are deciding that they want to vote for anybody. I mean, left or right. Independent, RFK Jr., anybody, You're going to brand them as somebody who's highly likely to kill people in 2024 because they're so erratic and so wild that they will hear a tweet, they will read a tweet or hear Trump make a joke and then take it as marching orders. But who's really been taking the marching orders as of late, as the past 4 or 5 years? Who's been really hearing things that the government has said and then taking them as marching orders? I don't know. Hasn't seemed like a lot of Trump supporters have been doing that type of thing. It doesn't seem like that's what they want. It doesn't seem like what they're after is for people to pass away due to violence. I haven't seen it. Jimmy Dore said something pretty funny. He was talking about Trump supporters and I think it was J6ers and stuff. And he was talking about how, it's funny that they keep saying things like this. They keep talking about, firearms and everything. And those people, they keep bringing everything, but they forget the guns. They always forget that. The one thing that the left says that they shouldn't have, there should be a ban on, that they're highly likely to use, is the one thing they keep forgetting when they show up to protest. They bring the flag, they bring the face paint, they bring the shirts, they bring everything, and then they're just like, damn, I forgot it again. Did you remember yours, honey? Dang. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, guys, if you haven't liked the video already, like the video. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. And please, please, watch out for those Trump supporters. I'm out.